Hi, everyone. This is Medicine for Your Soul, and I am your host, Carolyn Jones. I have certifications in a number of holistic health areas, but I'm focusing on flower essences for this series to match my book that I'll tell you about in a moment. Other books I've written are Pick Up Your Bed and Walk, a self care guide to improve health, and also Incantations, which is a affirmation book. But Medicine for Your Soul, named after this show and show named after it, speaks about essential oils, hydrosols, and flower essences as a guidebook because I really wanted everyone to learn how to take care of their emotions with this gentle formula that is the energetic portion of flowers. So let's dive in. The formula that I use throughout the book, there are 20 recipes, and they consist of essential oils. Just in case you don't know what essential oils are, they are highly concentrated plant extracts, and they're obtained through distillation or cold pressing. They're used for therapeutic properties, supporting emotional well being, skin health, and physical balance. We also have hydrosols, which are water based, just like flower essences, and they are aromatic waters, which are produced during steam distillation of plants for essential oils. Now, they're gentle, water based, and used for mental, emotional, and spiritual support. Then we have flower essences, and there's a whole wonderful history behind flower essences that continue to fascinate me. So, this is how they come through the Bach Center, and Dr. Edward Bach was actually the person who developed the Bach flower remedies. He was a bacteriologist, a doctor, homeopath, and a spiritual writer. And he wanted to help people navigate their emotions because he noticed that people with similar emotional and personality traits tended to develop similar illnesses. So that led him to believe that disease originated first in the mind and emotions and not in the body. And if you've heard of Louise Hay, she goes even deeper with that concept. So, in his in depth research, it was rooted with a spiritual worldview and an intuitive sensitivity. As I said, the healing system is using the energetic imprint of flowers, and that it has proved, and certainly I've used them, to be gentle, non toxic, and accessible to everyone because they even have formulas for pets, and children can even use them. Dr. Bach identified 7 categories of fundamental conflicts which prevent us from being true to ourselves: their loneliness, oversensitivity to influences and ideas, despondency or despair, overcare for the welfare of others, fear, uncertainty, and insufficient interest in present circumstances. The Flower Essence Society is a nonprofit educational organization that is dedicated to the research, preparation, and teaching of flower essence therapy. They took it even further. So now there are just hundreds of formulas available uh, with plants that have been sought out for their energetic influence. How are they made? There's a traditional sun infusion method that's used. So, first, dew fresh flowers are harvested, they are floated in water, and then they're exposed in direct sunlight for several hours. That extracts the vibrational imprint of the flower, that is selected to affect a person or animal on a subtle, non chemical level. You can use flower essences orally. That's drops and pastelles. I love the pastelles. I keep a can by my bed. Diluted in water, topically, pulse points, wrists, behind the ears, and over the heart. Also in baths and foot soaks, compresses, creams, oils, lotions, inhalation through steaming, and misters, as described in my book. They're water based, safe for children and pets, and not contraindicated for pharmaceutical medications. That's very important. So, if you are taking a pharmaceutical medication, you can also use flower essences to help yourself. Today, we're going to look at trust as a way to approach flower essences. And thanks to Robin, my friend Robin, I create a poem for each series, and here it is. Trust is a quiet place found deep inside the soul of personal truth, whispered to yourself for your ears to hear, your heart to bear. It is a place where abandonment should not rest. Allow trust to be raw, naked, vulnerable, a mirror. Trust reflects courage, wisdom to depart, courage to remain, introspective, brutally honest. It pierces the veil of love with honor, refusing illusion. Strong, it stands with its back to the wind against the storm of manipulation. Trust bends and sways, miraculously unbroken, knowing that it will always save love from itself. I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to continue our conversation through the lens of one of my favorite scholars, Bell Hooks. She was born September 25th, 1952, and she died December 15th, 2021, to my dismay. Her name, she was born Gloria Jean Watkins, but she named herself Bell Hooks in lowercase because she wanted to de-emphasize her personal identity and focus attention on the substance of her writing and ideas. And this is Trust Through the Lens of Bell Hooks. And I have some other treats from Bell Hooks for you later. But think about this: self love requires self trust. If you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust your intuition, question whether you're really demonstrating love to yourself. Because trust requires honesty, transparency, and accountability. When trust is broken, love becomes distorted and unsafe. You think back on your own life and think about times when trust was broken, and it did feel very unsafe, and everything really did seem cloudy and distorted. You must trust your own perceptions, boundaries, and needs to avoid accepting unhealthy or harmful forms of love. Because if you don't identify love correctly, then you cause yourself spiritual injury. So don't stay in relationships where trust is absent. And don't confuse control, dependency, and attachment for love, because love and abuse cannot coexist. Trust is built through consistent action. You don't trust someone blindly. They have to show you that they're trustworthy. Now, here's the treat that I have for you, and they're quotes from All About Love New Visions by Bell Hooks. She says, "Love is an action, never simply a feeling. To love well is a task in all meaningful relationships, not just romantic bonds. Love should be infused in all of what you do so that you can remain balanced within yourself. Knowing how to be solitary is central to the art of loving, not lonely, solitary." We talked about solitude in the last episode. One of the best guides on how to be self loving is to give ourselves the love we are often dreaming about receiving from others. Love on yourself. A lot of times people will give others gifts that they really want for themselves. When I feel like I'm giving someone something that I want as well, I get it for myself as well. I don't not get it for them, but I certainly give it to myself. Rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion. And I just love that. That is what my mobile clinic is built on. Uh, I am a clinic coordinator for HWB, that's Healing Without Borders, Healing Project Mobile Clinic. And really, we work together, other practitioners and myself work together to heal each other. And by doing that, we heal ourselves. And by the way, please give me your name, put it in chat and let me know where you're from. And share any ideas you may have on what I'm bringing to you this evening. And we'll respond in the Q&A section of the program. Introspection. What is love and trust to you? Is it an action or is it a feeling? Take a look inside yourself and give yourself an honest answer. Now, what I would like you to do is to write a one-sentence love letter to yourself. Here's mine. Dear Carolyn, I love how you protect me. And I had to learn how to protect myself. And when I say protect myself, I'm talking about not so much physically, but emotionally and mentally. Recognize when you are in a situation that is way over your head and not what you thought it was, or knowing deep down inside it's not what it should be. And don't be afraid to walk away. I have some affirmations for you this evening. Please repeat after me. I honor and trust the wisdom within my soul. I am aligned with my divine mission. It's very important to be aligned with your mission because that's where your joy is. You probably have heard the statement, if you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work. It's true. I prove it every day. As busy as my schedule is, I never feel like I'm working. And it gives me a good night's sleep as well, having that satisfaction and that happiness in my soul. I trust my intuition. I had to learn how to trust my intuition. I used to read a lot of self care books, still do, really. And I remember almost to the second when I read a book about intuition and decided that I would experiment with myself. I said, all right, I'm going to trust my intuition and try to come out of this confusion that I was experiencing at the time. And I began to experiment with that gut feeling, with that feeling, do this, don't do that, wait, go now. And I found that when I did that, things fell magically in place. It doesn't say that your life is going to be perfect, but you can have clarity of mind and vision in order to work through any challenges you may encounter. I am not healing alone. Join a community of people, your tribe, I like to call them, who are enjoying the same mindset and that of self improvement, self care, and community. There's no need to be alone and feel alone and be lonely, but make sure that you don't fill that loneliness with the wrong energy and the wrong behaviors, damaging behaviors, because then you only make a bad situation worse. If you're feeling depressed and lonely and then you bring the wrong energies in, you get more of the same or worse. So be very mindful, be very discerning about the company that you keep. Now, moving into which flower essences, hydrosols, and essential oils you might use. Crabapple is the flower essence, which helps release spiritual toxins such as thoughts, beliefs, energies, promotes inner purification, and assists in releasing shame. That is such an important aspect because to walk around with shame and guilt is like walking around with a seething poison in your system, in your mental and spiritual system. And nothing good can come of it. You need that freedom, that spiritual freedom to allow light into your life. And just like you would take an herb to cleanse your blood, you would use a flower essence to cleanse your spirit. And you could also use essential oils for the same, but we'll get to that right now. Lemongrass cuts through mental fog, supports letting go of old patterns, and increases intuition while restoring trust in one's inner voice. And I love it when I have a formula, a blend of essential oils that have lemongrass in it, because the reaction from the person smelling it is always an uplifting one. uh, oh, it's almost a surprise. And I've had people say, I was feeling so down, but when I sniffed this lemongrass, it just changed my whole feeling, my whole way of thinking. And it's a wonderful thing to see. And then we have frankincense in hydrosol. It grounds the soul, opens the heart to divine wisdom, and bridges higher guidance with compassionate action. And if you're familiar with frankincense, you know in all of its forms, it's a wonderful ritual and worship energy. And what you see here, that's called tears. So frankincense tears. And if you get frankincense for the purpose of ingesting it, make sure that you're not using the frankincense that's been treated for you to burn. Um, you would get frankincense from an herb store with the intention of making frankincense water and let them know that you want to ingest it. It does wonders for drying up excess mucus and clearing out that congestion. I've had personal experiences with that. The Be Happy Project says, I did not crawl through the shards of my own brokenness to live a mediocre life. I've prepared for magic. So, to me, that means that once you've come out of the darkness, whatever you've experienced, the shadow of the soul, the dark shadow of the soul, then what you want to do is not find yourself thinking about the past over and over again, just, you know, finding yourself reminiscing about the past, talking about the past, reliving the past over and over and over. You want to come out of that brokenness and see how you want your life to look and strive for that time. It's going to take time to develop, but once the blessings begin to pour in, just like the hard times, the blessings pile up as well. And it opens up the window of intuition for you so that you can see your way clearer. You don't want to be mediocre, certainly not. Louise Hay, one of my favorite quote from her, states, I expect the very best in life, and I allow myself to receive it now. Okay? Let's repeat that together two more times. I expect the very best in life, and I allow myself to receive it now. Now, say it with feeling. I expect the very best in life, and I allow myself to receive it now. Okay. So I invite you to make your own plant medicine. And if you're interested in the companion book to this course, feel free to grab the QR code. And thank you so much for spending this time with me this evening.